Welcome to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. I'm Berney Flowers, one of Uncle Sam's wayward children. I believe that our country's best days are still in front of us, but if those best days are to come, we need to change the direction of the country right now before it's too late. I intend to talk about important topics every week in hopes of helping to improve our country and our way of life. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let's get started. Dear friends, this is episode 19. One of the good things about having my own podcast is that every so often I get to say what's on my mind. Episode 19 will be such an episode. This past week, I supported the Howard County Republican Party at Maryland's Howard County Fair. Thousands upon thousands of people came from the surrounding areas to enjoy great food, rides, games, and exhibits of all manner. We had a good time. I was proud to help my fellow conservatives tell our side of the story, and in doing so, I picked up a few stories that I thought you might enjoy. So today, I'll tell you what I experienced. Surprisingly, most of the customers for the GOP booth were under 25. As we gave out gangs of stickers and promoted conservative ideals, the age of our customers was shocking to me. Not only did these kids have great enthusiasm, not only were they multi-ethnic, but the ones I spoke to were very aware of the issues facing them, and they were concerned about their future. A young man came up to me in the booth. He was wearing a rainbow t-shirt. He appeared to be about 25 or so. He looked at our display of books and said, "Are you planning to ban Catcher in the Rye?" I smiled at him and said, "No." I knew his game, and I knew the game he wanted to play. He said, "Who gets to decide which books are banned and which are not?" He wanted to start a fight, but at least he was willing to have a civil conversation. I told him that it's the job of the elected school board to choose books for the school system, but it was also the job of parents and citizens to monitor the school board so that our schools represent the values of our community. Republicans don't plan on banning any books. So I grabbed a copy of our book, Gender Queer, like the one you see right here. I asked him, "Have you ever seen anything like that?" He quickly developed a sour look on his face as he thumbed through the book. I asked him, "Do you think it's okay for books like that to be made available to elementary school kids?" He asked, "Well, when should that stuff that's in that book be taught in school?" And I said, "Well, I'm not sure, but I know that elementary school is too early for innocent kids to see that stuff. And I believe that in an ideal world, parents should teach that stuff to their kids, not schools." He went silent after that, and he walked away. An older lady came to the booth. She looked at our display of books, and she said to me, "I don't want to argue," and she just walked away. She had no idea what to say. She had no argument. Perhaps after seeing these so-called books laid out there, she questioned her convictions after realizing that she had been supporting the sexualization of young children inadvertently. Another fellow comes up to the booth wanting to start an argument about his dislike for President Trump. He said some ugly things about Trump, and I didn't take his bait. I just smiled at the fellow and said nothing. The booth was set up to support the Howard County Republican Party. Last I checked, President Trump was not a member of the Howard County Republican Party. President Trump is a big boy who doesn't need me to protect him. After that, I just smiled nicely, and the man eventually walked away without the fight that he wanted. The Democrat booth was about 30 yards down the hill from us, across the street. Our booth was far more busy than theirs. State Senator Gail Bates took me down to meet some of her dear friends in the Democrat booth. They all appeared to be very nice people, and they were surprised to see me and Gail walking together, arm in arm, side by side, black and white, together. One of the five people in the Democrat booth were two older black ladies. They seemed surprised to see me, more than others. I think that Gail intended to shock them, and she succeeded. She and I had a good laugh. As a black Republican, I noticed more stares from blacks than anybody else. I was not surprised. I'm used to it. I was cordial to everyone, smiling and waving. One young black man walked into the booth and asked to buy one of my Black Values Matter books. He was a 30-ish family man with a wife and two beautiful young girls in trail. He and his family and others like him are the reason that I do what I do. I didn't intend to sell any of my books, but since he asked, I figured I might as well. I couldn't deny him. A recent college grad came up to me, and since I was there and I wanted to promote conservative values to young people, I gave him one of my books for free. Another young man comes up to our booth wearing a Bud Light t-shirt. He was a good-natured lad with a big smile and a casual demeanor. Of course, I had to give him a ration of crap. That's what I do. I asked him if he knew the latest story about the company that he was promoting with his t-shirt, and he said that he did, and that he put the t-shirt on without thinking before he left his home. I asked, why would a man wear a t-shirt promoting the queen of beers? He and I and everybody in the booth had a big laugh. He told me he was 18 years old and that he was a recent high school graduate. He wanted to join the Marine Corps, but he was turned off by all the diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff he was hearing about in today's military. Being that I'm a military retiree, I was happy to share my knowledge with him. I told him that today's military is not the military that I served in. I also said that I would not recommend him or anyone else joining the military right now. I said that wokeness has made our military combat ineffective, that it was no longer a good place for a young man to find his way. I asked if he was a Disney fan or Marvel or Star Wars, and he said that he was aware that Disney had lost around $200 billion since Avengers Endgame, and that DEI is a reason that Disney hasn't had a hit in about 10 tries, and why its stock price was falling. I also asked if he knew Dylan Mulvaney or if he knew who that was, and he said he did. I asked if he knew about Target stores and how they had lost tens of billions of dollars in their decision to support diversity, equity, and inclusion and all the stuff that goes along with it. I explained that DEI was a mandate from BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard and other top financiers who are hell-bent on forcing their version of gender equality upon the Western world. I explained who Klaus Schwab was and the World Economic Forum and what they were, and that they and people like them were the cause of much of the chaos in today's world. I asked if he knew the phrase, "You will own nothing and you will be happy." He was actually not aware of that. So I referenced a YouTube clip that would explain everything that I was saying. I recommended that he go to the Moon YouTube channel and type in BlackRock or Klaus Schwab. He did so as I spoke, and he was amazed at what he saw. That young man was a sponge for the knowledge that I was providing. He listened intently and was very good-hearted about my Queen of Beers joke. Klaus Schwab, Joe Biden, Harvard John Sarbanes, and their crew of leftists have no sense of humor. They couldn't tell a joke to save their lives. I had a good experience at the fair, representing Maryland's Howard County Republican Party. I met some great people, and we had a great time. Well, that's about it for now. This has been the Loyal Opposition Podcast, produced in association with Liberty Arise Media, Fallback Productions, and other podcasters. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast and to this channel. And be sure to get your copy of my new book, Black Values Matter, available on Amazon or as an ebook on Audible or Apple Books. Also, remember, it's okay to disagree, but when we want our country to prosper, we must insist on unity, transparency, and civility from ourselves and our fellow citizens. Thanks for listening to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. See you next week.